to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rattan, and this is the Blue Collar Wine Show, where I help you spend your wine dollars wisely. Getting excited for my trip to South Africa. It's in April, which seems like a long way off, but boy, I tell you, we bought the tickets, the plane tickets, back in June. Here we are now in November, and you know, we're planning our safari. I've got some interviews set up with some winemakers over there to do on YouTube, so I'm excited about that. Excited to get that kind of out there for you guys to see. And you know, South Africa produces some great wines, and you know, they took a foothold for a while. I think about 10 years ago, then they kind of slid away. And I know Doug Charles over in Anacortes, his wine shop is loaded with South African wines. They can get really expensive, or you can find really good deals like we have here. So we're going to try some wines that are not quite in the, well, they're not even close to the expensive category. I think I have it, what, $13, $9, $9. So there you go. Kind of to follow up the cheap cab episode, we're going into inexpensive or cheap South African wines. Now, believe it or not, South Africa has been making wines for a ton of years, and they're still considered New World because they don't fall into that category of the Old World wines like Italy, Spain, Austria, Hungary. I think Israel falls into the Old World category, but South Africa is considered New World. They're also probably one of the first countries. Australia was not the first country. Actually, they did it in South Africa, called Syrah Shiraz. So there you go. But they've been doing this for a long time. I'm excited to go there to check out Stellenbosch, Franschhoek, those areas. We might take a trip up to Swartland, which is about an hour north of Cape Town. Not quite an hour north of Cape Town. We haven't decided yet. We were going to spend the night there, but the schedule gets a little tight after we spend a week in Cape Town. So looking forward to this. Let's get started right off the bat. This is a Simon Sig Pinotage 2014, and of course from Stellenbosch, South Africa. It rolls in at $13, and let's get a close-up of this wine. Now, South Africa is one of the only countries, if not the only country, you'll find Pinotage, which is a cross between Pinot Noir and Cinsault. I love Cinsault, by the way. A lot of wine snobs do not feel that they should even make Pinotage. I disagree with that, of course. But it took me a long time to find a good one. The first couple I tried, I understand why they thought that. But, you know, I actually have found a couple that I like. So, you know, there's a wine for everyone. And we should never make a blanket statement and say there's no such thing as a good Pinotage ever. I actually got that at when I went to my first level sommelier class. One of the master somms said that. You know, shame on him. Let's see what we get on the nose. It smells like bark to me, like, you know, like not quite decayed bark, but halfway between fresh bark and old bark. Get a lot of tobacco, definitely a lot of tobacco, not a lot of fruit on this one. Little kind of a beet action, you know, like not a cooked beet, just a raw beet. But mostly bark and tobacco. Interesting. Let's see what we get on the palate. Excuse me. This might be one of the better Pinotages I've had. Get a little spice. I like the white pepper notes that come through. I get currant, I get tobacco, I get bark. All of those are there, but there's a nice blending. This is fairly seamless across the palate, and you know, good balance. Not super complex, but very interesting. I would not have a problem having this with stew, having some company over, having, you know, a pot roast or something like that, and enjoying this wine. I'm impressed, actually. Very impressed. There's a tiny little bit of a bubble gum action on the mid palate, like bubble yum, that comes through. And I get a lot of like dark cherries, a little bit of blackberry, currants, spice. The bark element is kind of cool. I like that. Don't get a lot of tobacco on the palate though. There it is, right on the backside. I get a little tobacco. Like I said, not super complex, but very well put together. Good balance. I think it's a very interesting one. I think for $13, good experiment. If you want to try Pinotage, hit that one. I think you'll like it. I also have one of, this will come into the store. I'm just saying. This is coming into my set. I like it. If I were to introduce somebody to Pinotage, this would be a really good one to do that. And like I said, I totally disagree with that master song for saying that. I think that's a great wine. I really do. I'm gonna go straight up B. I think for 13 bucks, you know, it's not bad. Above average for sure. Let's move on. This is the 2012 Indaba Merlot. 2012. See, South Africa might be having trouble selling their Merlot. Wow. I'll be very curious about this one. That was a little older for a Merlot, just saying. This is also from Stellenbosch, you'd say. Just says South Africa. This rolls in at $9. Western Cape. That's right. That's a broad term. So it's from the South Africa area, Western Cape region. It's kind of like saying California here. You know what I mean? You know, Western Cape. They can source it from a lot of different areas. Let's give it a little rinse here. By the way, once again, I just want to state this is a Stelvin closure or screw cap or twist cap, whatever you want. The Simon Sig was not. You know, $9. Curious to try this one. 2012. Oh man, it smells like interesting. It smells like I just stuck my face in a bunch of twigs and stems, like blackberry stems, and you know, freshly cut. Very green, little green bell pepper coming through. Little tiny hit of licorice, but fairly muted. That initial hit. I just opened these not too long ago because, you know, and I've said this many times, and I would appreciate a comment if you agree or disagree with this, but I feel most people come home, unscrew the wine, set it down for a few minutes, and then pour it and start drinking it. So I want to be able to review these wines exactly the way most of you are going to drink them. Now there's an exception. I got a little bit of a lineup here because I'm shooting a couple of episodes today because I have to. My day off, I can do that. But a couple of these, of course, I've opened already, which opening of them doesn't necessarily air them out or decant them. I'm a firm believer in decanting, don't get me wrong, but I feel like when I'm reviewing wines, I want to review it exactly as a consumer is going to taste it themselves. I think that's important because when you buy that wine, if I start going on about some characteristics because I had it in a decanter, for 3 hours, which most of you are not going to do, you know, I'm going to get things out of it that you're not, so I don't want to go there, really don't. So you can make a comment on this video if you'd like. I'd really appreciate it. I don't get a huge amount of comments, but if you'd like to make a comment either on this or email me or whatever you think about that particular approach, I'd appreciate it because I want to do what's good for you guys. I really do. So I get a lot of little vegetal action on this, a little bit of licorice. Boy, it's just coming through crazy. It's crazy. Let's see what we get on the palate. Right up front, I get kind of like plump blackberry and currant notes. And then that kind of branchy sort of blackberry pyrazine element comes through on the backside. The very finish, not off-putting at all. I got a little bit of like a ripe date currant thing going on. That could be the age on this wine, but I'm actually surprised. 2012, at 5 years old, and it's actually not too bad. It's very decent Merlot. I'm very surprised by that. I truly am. I thought I'd get some funkified stuff. And what's cool about this wine, really cool about this wine, is you get that little pyrazine sort of branchy, twiggy sort of thing, that green element on the backside, but it's not a lot, so it's just like kind of might introduce you to that. If you're drinking a Cab Franc from the Loire Valley, you might get quite a bit more of that. But very impressed with this one for $9. A little black tea, yeah. Kind of grippy on the backside. Wow, wow. 2012, $9. If I thought I could stack a Merlot and actually sell it, now I'm not saying I couldn't, because obviously I'm in the department, I could lead them there. But sometimes people go cross-eyed when you start, you know, showing them a $9 Merlot. Don't go cross-eyed on this one. Not too bad. I mean, I am very impressed with this one. Now I'm not sure if I can get the 12 again. I got a sample of this from Chris. And I believe this is fairly recently that he gave me this. So I'm curious what vintage they're on. But that's pretty damn good Merlot for $9. Just saying, it is. I'm gonna go B minus. I am. I'm going B minus. It's good stuff. Wow. So this is the Indaba Mosaic 2015 red blend. Makes sense. Red blends sell very well. This is a blend of, oh God, here we go. 74% Cab, 13% Petit Verdot, 5%, 6% Merlot, and 5% Malbec, and a 1% Cabernet Franc. Hopefully that all added up. Hey, just give me just 1 second. Sorry about this, guys. My lighting isn't great here. I got to do something about it. So I'm getting the old flashlight out. The old flashlight out. Make sure I got this right. Yep, 74 Cab, 13% Petit Verdot, 6% Merlot, 6% Malbec, and 1% Cab Franc. There you go. Might keep the flashlight around. That might be a nice touch. A bit of flashlight action. Let's give it a little rinse here. Indaba, impressed with that Merlot, really am. Little spiked buck going across my, I guess, backyard. Kind of cool. God, Salmon Islands are so awesome. Okay, so this is a little red blend. This rolls in at $9, same as the Merlot. I'm excited about this. I mean, that Merlot. Are you kidding me? There you go. Yeah. Wow. 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 Okay. This spike is out there looking at me. I think I see some guy moving in there. I'd flip around the camera. It's pretty cool. This is a cool place to live. Let's see what we get on the nose. Get like black plums and blackberries. Little tiny bit of tobacco coming through. Somewhat muted, but a little currant action also. Let's see what we get on the palate. sweet tannins, which would make this a crowd pleaser. I'm kind of debating this one because, I have a pick of the month every month, and I might actually do one of my episodes where I, talk about my pick of the month. This month is the Mary Hill Winemaker's Red, which I thought was phenomenal, especially for 12 bucks. This is $9. This might go into that phenomenal category, only because I like the acidity. I did the Cheap Cab episode, and of course they had acid, but it felt like added acid. This does not feel that way. Well, one of them felt like added acid. This is fresh. It has an interesting high tone to it on the palate. It kind of reaches a certain level. Red flowers, get a little chocolate on the finish. Definitely like blackberry meets plum meets currants on the palate with this kind of a lift. It almost reaches a crunchy level. Tannins are sweet, but it's not a bombastic fruit-forward wine by any stretch because of that acid lift in the mouth. Nice introductory red blend wine from South Africa. I'm liking this wine. You talk about pizza, burgers, that sort of thing, burritos, ribs. You could have this ribs, chicken, because the tannins are there, but it's got enough high tone to go with that chicken without being heavy. It's certainly not heavy. God, this could go with a lot of different wines. A lot of different foods. I could sit there and watch a football game and pound this whole bottle out if I wasn't thinking about it. Some licorice notes. Very light on the finish. Not certainly a long finish, but it's still sticking around. Wow. I'm impressed with this Indaba line. I'm impressed with the Simon. I'm gonna go straight up. I'm hedging towards B+ on this one. This has some additional layers to it that make it more interesting, but definitely a B wine. Good episode. Finding 3 really nice wines for under $14. You know what? Thanks for taking me. Keep watching, and I'll keep helping you stay. Your wine always applies.